It's the final video game market of 2024 right here in the fine city of Norwich at the Video Game Retro Market. I managed to find a SNES game I've been hunting for years to complete my most wanted childhood trilogy.
Game Pickups! Video Game Trip! Road Trips! Live Game Hunting! Oh yeah!
Hello again folks and welcome to a very special live game hunting episode. That's because this time we are at the Video Game Retro Market right here in the fine city of Norwich. And this was the final gaming market of 2024. It was also very special for many other reasons. It was the conclusion of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, but the beginning of the NES Top 40 at 40. But not only that, I managed to find some absolutely amazing pickups for the collection. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday night at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. If you want to join me playing games, head over and give me a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/DaddyGamesman, Twitch. Here we go then at the Video Game Retro Market here in the heart of Norwich at the Forum. And this is the third time this gaming market has been to Norwich. The first time it was at the UEA, the University of East Anglia, a much smaller venue. This is the second time it has been at the Forum. The first time was in this first area you can see here. But now in its third time in the fine city of Norwich, this is the biggest the Video Game Retro Market has ever been. As normally the market is only in this front area here, but it's now extended back into the auditorium and almost doubled in size. And this is incredible for a gaming market which has only been to Norwich 3 times. To grow this much over the course of around 2 years is absolutely unbelievable, and I can see why. This is an absolutely fantastic gaming market. There is something for everyone here, and it's nice to have space. A lot of these gaming markets can be very, very cramped. And as you can see, there's lots of space to move around here, which is good, as I managed to get early entry 45 minutes before the general public. But trust me, it's going to get really busy in here. And around 45 minutes at 11 AM when early entry starts, let's get on with today's game hunt. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the Video Game Retro Market wasn't just about the conclusion of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, it was also about the beginning of the NES Top 40 at 40. And I dare say I managed to cross 2 of my most wanted games off that list of 40 games which I'm hoping to find over the course of 2025. So stay tuned for the very first live game hunting episode of the NES Top 40 at 40 coming very, very soon. Straight off the bat, this was cool to see a box of Sega Saturn games. Sadly, nothing I needed here, but I think my urge to collect for the Sega Saturn has definitely been reborn recently. Now, I have a pretty concise PlayStation 1 collection, but this is a game which is missing Jurassic Park Warpath. If this hadn't been the Classics edition, I'd have been tempted to pick this one up. Now, of course, whenever I'm hunting at gaming markets, one of the main things I'm keeping an eye out for is Nintendo cardboard. That's because nowhere else are you more likely to find minty Nintendo cardboard than at gaming markets such as this one. I did pass on Doom 64 because, honestly, when it comes to Nintendo cardboard, my standards are very, very high. This was cool to see, this modded region-free PlayStation 2. For a console which has such a vast library, there are so many games which never got a UK release, so having a modded console would be amazing, as well as this console right here, the PS1 with that travel screen. Something I've always wanted to add to the collection, maybe one day. It's always exciting to see new sellers at gaming markets such as this one, such as this seller right here, Archie's Retro Room, a much younger seller you'd normally expect to see at gaming markets such as this one. He had an absolutely incredible selection of games and collectibles. It must be really scary to start selling at gaming markets such as this one, especially at a younger age, so I wish him all the best for the future and good luck at future gaming markets. Even though I have a sizable PS1 collection, like I said earlier, I'm always on the lookout for games that I still need. Games such as this one, Hexen. I just think there's something about these kind of first-person shooters on the PlayStation. They just hit differently. It just kind of gives me those kind of early retro PC feels, but being on a home console. I remember the first time I played Doom on a PS1, it absolutely blew me away, and Hexen is another one of those absolutely classic boomer shooters, as most people are calling them now, that I still love playing on the PS1. Back to the N64, but also linked to the PS1, this game right here, Armorines. I'm looking for both a mint N64 copy and a PlayStation 1 copy of this game, because like I said, I love this era of first-person shooters, and honestly, that was one of my favourites. It's basically like Turok, but in space with aliens, and one I need to have in the collection over the course of 2025. This is one of my favourite local sellers here at Video Game Retro Market Norwich, Omega's Emporium, and once again, they had an absolutely incredible selection of boxed N64 games. Starshot is definitely one which I've had my eye on for a very long while. Somewhat of a hidden gem, I believe. But of course, I'm back looking for more boomer shooters. This time, one of my all-time favourites, Duke Nukem 3D for the Sega Saturn. If you're in the area, make sure you check out Omega's Emporium. Next up was the stand of legendary YouTuber Ed Hunt. I've been watching Ed's channel for absolutely years. We've done so many deals over the years, and I love seeing him at the gaming markets all around the UK. He is absolutely grinding away, hunting for games, making YouTube videos, and even selling at gaming markets such as this one. And we managed to set up a deal beforehand for an absolutely obscure wrestling game which I needed for my collection. And speaking of wrestling, here we have an XPW DVD. This was one of the many wrestling shows that were here in the UK which has sadly died in recent years. But carrying on, there was an absolutely amazing selection of games here, including some PSP Platinum games. Just saying, maybe one day in the future that's something I'll be actively hunting for. And this is something I love, these big box Wii U games. I have this one, but I just love how they look. Ed is constantly on the grind, whether hunting for games for his own collection or hunting for games to sell here at gaming markets such as this one. And he finds some absolutely banging pieces, such as these CIB Sega Game Gear games. These were in incredible condition. This game was very tempting, The Hunt for Red October, as this is a SNES Super Scope game. There isn't very many of them, but this is one I definitely need for my collection over the course of 2025. I'm a massive light gun fan, and of course, I love the Super Scope. And there were some very heavy hitters here today, but I'm very happy with the game I picked up this time from Ed Hunt. You'll have to stick around to the end to find out what game that was, even though this was very tempting. The limited run version of the Return to Monkey Island, but trust me, I've got an amazing pickup from Ed for later. Moving on, and this is something I'm always on the fence about, sealed games, because for me, game collecting is all about playing games, not just collecting them and letting them sit on the shelf. So when it comes to sealed games, I'm not really sure, but let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on sealed games. Here we are at Last Level Games, one of my favourite, not only local gaming shops, one of my favourite gaming shops from all around the UK, and they have bought their A game today. Check out this copy of Super Mario Bros. 3. Absolutely minty. But they let me come behind the table here to have a look at some heavy hitters. They have really brought out the big guns here today. They have a store, of course, here in the fine city of Norwich. And if you're ever in the area, you need to visit. But they have been saving some stock specifically for this gaming market, and like I said, they are bringing out the big guns. But even at the front here in these tubs, there's some incredible games like Castlevania 4, anyone. Again, a game I'm aiming to add to my collection over the course of 2025, but again, I'm looking for it CIB. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know I love me a good steelbook, and this is one which is sorely missing from my collection. Horizon Forbidden West. That's because when I first bought my PlayStation 5, this was one of the first games I bought, and I bought the standard edition, but hopefully soon I can add this steelbook edition to my collection. Let's get on to the big boys then, the holy grail items here from Last Level Games. And starting off, Lethal Enforcers for the Mega CD. As I said, I'm a massive fan of light gun games, and House of the Dead for the Sega Saturn with that Virtua gun. I recently picked up the Virtua Cop 2 version of this from Doorway to Darkness, but that is a thing of beauty. And behind this Punisher, you know, just casually chilling out, is a CIB Sega 32X. Again, in absolutely minty condition, but this is a thing of absolutely beautiful proportions. A Nintendo Entertainment System Deluxe set with Rob the Robot, with the Zapper, all CIB. It's a big price tag, but this is what every 80s kid wanted growing up, and I would love to have one day in the collection. But the bangers just keep coming. CIB SNES, Mega Drive 2 Aladdin Edition, Pokemon Red, Blue, Switches. Like I said, Last Level Games had really brought their A-game today. Don't get me wrong, their store is always full of absolute bangers, but even my thumb seemingly wanted to get involved here, and if nothing else, just check out that CRT TV. Some amazing items here, but for me, this was the most tempting. Lethal Enforcers for the Mega CD, because this was in really nice condition, but I did decide to pass just because it did have some sticker damage. But again, this is a game on my hit list. This is a game I really want to add to the collection because I love collecting for the Mega CD, and of course I love light gun games, and it was difficult to leave this one behind because Last Level let me open this one up and just look at the contents. Absolutely incredible condition, including the receipt from Second Hand Land, an absolute institution of a store here in Norwich. I think this was sold in the early 2000s for £10. Nowadays it's asking about £100, but it just goes to show back in the day Mega CD stuff was just being sold off so incredibly cheap, and that's why probably today it's an incredibly hard console to collect for, but I love it. We are only halfway through the video game retro market here at the Forum in Norwich. Like I said, this market has doubled in size since the last time it was here. And this is the biggest area. And trust me, there's still a lot to go through here, including this box here, which has some absolutely banging steelbooks. I am still building my steelbook collection, but there's still steelbooks I'm finding to this day which I've never seen before. And the hunt never stops. Check out these NTSC SNES games. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you prefer the artwork for the PAL SNES games or the NTSC SNES games? We're going to look at some games from different regions later on here at this gaming market. And I think, for my money, some of the Japanese versions blow every other version out of the water. This was one of my favourite sellers. We met last time at the video game retro market here at the Forum, N64 guy. And they do exactly that. They sell N64 games, consoles and accessories. But these are always in absolutely incredible condition. I was flicking through here because last time I looked at that game right there, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And again, I was tempted. 80 quid though, it's quite an expensive game, but they did have some cheaper bangers, including this game, which once again I looked at last time, Mischief Makers, a game I really want, but it didn't have the manual, so I did decide to pass. But let me know once again in the comments down below, when you pick up retro, are you trying to get it CIB, or will you pick up a game cheaper if it doesn't have the manual? This was super cool. The receipt for 1080 snowboarding from Woolworths, which was exactly where I bought my copy of 1080 snowboarding back in the day. And honestly, for the receipt alone, I was kind of tempted. Here's a tip: when you're at gaming markets, don't just look at what's on the table, look what's underneath. Sometimes you can find some cheap bangers down here. Loads of really cheap boxed retro. Nothing I needed specifically this time, but it goes to show it's always worth looking where no one else is looking. Once again, I'm being pulled back to N64 games, and this game right here, Beetle Adventure Racing. I've never played this, but I've heard nothing but good things about this game. It looks absolutely awesome. I love the artwork, and N64 just had an absolutely incredible selection of couch co-op games, such as this game, Duke Nukem 64, a game I played way too young and I played to death. Me and my friend would sit for hours playing couch co-op on this one and absolutely enjoyed every minute. Here it is then, folks, a game I've been hunting for all throughout 2024, Super Empire Strikes Back. The final game I needed for the Super Star Wars trilogy, a trilogy of games I've wanted to play since my childhood because I never had a SNES growing up, and now I have the complete set of Super Star Wars games because I've been holding out to find these in incredible condition, and once again this one is in absolutely amazing condition. I got a fantastic deal and finally finished the Super Star Wars trilogy. As well as Star Wars, one of my childhood favourites was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and check out this Japanese release of TMNT Turtles in Time, still to this day the greatest Turtles game of all time. This was a thing of absolute beauty, had a price tag of £120, so I did have to pass this time. But sticking with Japanese artwork, What is it about Japanese SNES artwork? It's absolutely incredible. Like we said earlier about PAL and NTSC artwork, but this Japanese artwork is another level. It looks absolutely incredible, and this was tempting for the artwork alone. Check out Mario 64. I think that is so much cooler. It looks like a movie poster, but I think for me this is some of the best artwork on any game ever. The Pokemon Stadium artwork is absolutely sublime. You know me, I love TMNT, I love retro toys, and check out some of these retro TMNT figures. Some absolutely amazing pieces here. There wasn't many retro toys here, but these ones were super duper cool. I absolutely love the vintage TMNT figures, so I loved seeing these. Now, Dreamcast isn't a console which I collect for super hardcore. I have been tempted many times to get really back into Dreamcast collecting, and this is a game which is incredibly high on my Dreamcast want list. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, still to this day the greatest fighting game of all time. Again, I have a fairly substantial PS1 collection, but I've never seen this before. The special edition of Driver 2. I have never ever seen this game before. It had a fairly high price tag, so I did pass, but honestly it's very rare to see special editions or limited editions of any PS1 game, so this was super cool to see. But let me know in the comments down below if you know anything about Driver 2 limited edition. Now, it's not very often I'll say this, but how cool are these Funko Pops? These TMNT Funko Pops with these pizza sleeves. I guess it's just because it's TMNT. Of course, I love them. Heading on to another local seller here, Second Hand Treasures. And they had a massive selection of games. We've seen them before at Arming Hall Car Boot, but they're branching out into video game markets and toy markets in the local area. And they had some really, really cheap Xbox One games. I would have picked up this steelbook, but sadly it was a little bit broken for my liking, so I did pass. But my wife managed to pick up a fantastic bundle of games here. Of course, she was hunting as well as myself, and she managed to pick up some awesome bits, and I'll go through her pickups at the end of the episode. But she was just going through all these Xbox One games, finding some really, really obscure titles and building a bundle, because we all know building a bundle is the best way to get a good deal. These were cool. I've never seen these as a wrestling fan. These PS2 WWE controllers. They were 40 quid each, so I did pass. Maybe I should have picked one up, but I've never seen them before. And honestly, I have no idea the value or rarity of these. So if you know anything about this very obscure wrestling collectible, please let me know in the comments down below. Finding my wife, she had built quite a nice little bundle of Xbox One games here. She managed to pick up 4 fairly obscure titles and one much underloved game for 20 quid. A lot of people seem to be sleeping on the Xbox One at the moment. It is a super cheap console to collect for. There is a myriad of hidden gems. Trust me, now's the time to collect for it. Our final store of the day was owned by none other than the organiser of this amazing gaming market, Ricky, who was also selling, and he had some real cheap bangers, including this game which I think I looked at last time we were here, which he actually let me have for free. I cannot believe I didn't have this in the collection. But we also had a pick for this box here and picked up this cheap banger, Corvette, because honestly, who doesn't love a £1 PlayStation 2 game? It had been an absolutely incredible day here. I could have hunted for hours and hours and hours, but I was running out of energy, I was running out of money, but it had been an absolutely incredible way to close out a year of game market hunting here at a video game retro market. But you know me, I can never stop hunting, and I picked up this absolutely incredible PS1 t-shirt, which you may have seen me modelling in the final episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. I just can't resist a bargain, and this was an absolute great find to close off what had been an absolutely great day of game hunting here at the video game retro market at the Forum in Norwich. It will return in 2025, and trust me, you need to be there. And it is going to be one of many gaming markets which I'm going to be hitting up over the course of 2025. And trust me, I'm always ready to hunt. Here we are then, back in the games room after the final video game market of 2024. And what a way to round off a year of absolutely incredible hunting at gaming markets all around the UK. It's so good to see these gaming markets full of people, full of sellers, and people just having an absolutely amazing time. And massive shout out to the organiser Ricky, not just for letting me in early, not just for putting on an absolutely amazing event, but giving me this game right here, the EA Sports double header for the Mega Drive. This was a game I looked at on his stall last time at a video game retro market here in Norwich, and I was sure I must have this absolutely iconic game in the collection. It turns out I didn't. I have such fond memories, I know, surprising as it sounds, of playing this game with a friend in multiplayer back in the day on the Mega Drive. For me, this is one of the best multiplayer games quite possibly ever. One of my favourite sports games, so thank you Ricky for giving me this one for the collection. I think it's a common misconception that video game markets have to be expensive. Yes, you can pay top dollar for incredibly rare and expensive games, but you can also pick up some cheap bangers. Games such as this one right here, Corvette for the PlayStation 2. I think I paid like £2 for this game. Now I have no idea if this is good, but for £2 I'm happy to take a risk. Honestly, me and my wife just looked at this one and thought, you know what? Judging by the back of this game, this looks fun, so for £2, why not just pick it up? I wasn't alone at the video game retro market. I was joined by my loving wife, and she was also on the hunt for cool items to add to the collection. Now normally she will disappear and just reappear with something cool, and this time she picked up this Entex pinball handheld electronic machine, and this thing is super retro. Such a cool vintage handheld electronic game. She paid £25 for this, and honestly, eBay prices are a lot higher, so she definitely got an absolute bargain with this one. She really knows how to pick them. This next selection of games comes from a local seller, Second Chance Treasures, who started off selling at Arming Hall and have since branched off into toy markets and video game markets all around the Norfolk area. And this is a bundle of games my wife picked out. And there's some very random games here, games I've never seen before. So she managed to bundle up and save a little bit of money on this one. It was £20 this entire bundle. So the first game is a game I've never heard of, Nine Monkeys of Shaolin. Now this could be a hidden gem. I have no idea. I've literally never seen this game before. So let me know in the comments down below if you've played this one. Next up we have a game called Flockers. Yes, it's called Flockers, and this is a game for the creators of Worms. Me and my wife are massive fans of the Worms franchise, so had to pick this one up. Next up we have The Inner World, and this was a game which was £30 at game. I have no idea how much this game is now. Once again, I've never heard of this one, so looking forward to jumping into this one. Next up we have the kind of reboot of Saints Row. Now, I was on the fence for this one. I said to my wife, you know, I've heard nothing but bad things about this game, but sometimes you have to not listen to other people. My wife has been playing this one, which comes in this really cool special edition, and this looks super, super fun. So it comes with a nice thick art book, a poster, which I'm not going to unravel because I'll never get it back in, some postcards, and of course the steelbook. Now, I've been watching my wife play this game as a massive fan of the Saints Row franchise, and it looks super fun. And do you know what? I think this could be a game which a lot of people are just missing out on. I'm actually going to go to CX and buy a second copy so we can play this one in co-op, and honestly, I'm really excited to jump into this game. Our penultimate pickup this time from Video Game Retro Market Norwich is from a fellow YouTuber and very good friend, Ed Hunt. He has not only been absolutely smashing it on YouTube for years, he has been selling at video game markets all around the UK. And he's been saying to me for a long time, Dan, you need to start selling at video game markets. And who knows, maybe 2025 will be the year I finally start selling at video game markets all around the UK. So watch this space. But for today, as soon as I saw Ed share this game on Instagram, I knew I had to have it. And that game is WCW Mayhem for the Game Boy Color. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know I'm actively trying not just to find every WWE wrestling game ever made, I'm trying to find every wrestling game ever made. Now, this is a very hard to find, obscure wrestling game on the Game Boy Color. Is it a good wrestling game? Not really. Is it one of the worst wrestling games of all time? Quite possibly, but like I said, it is incredibly hard to find. So massive shout out to Ed for selling me this one. If for some reason you've been living under a rock and never checked out his channel, I'll link it in the description down below. I've been watching him for absolute years, and Ed, I'll see you at the next market. Which brings us on to our final pickup from the video game retro market here in Norwich, and this is the most fitting pickup for the final gaming market of 2024. Over the course of 2024, I visited loads of gaming markets. There is one common theme stretched throughout all of these markets. My mission to try and find the Super Star Wars Trilogy for the SNES. So straight away, I managed to find Return of the Jedi, quite possibly the hardest of the games to find, and it was absolutely mint. A couple of months later, I managed to find Super Star Wars A New Hope, once again, absolutely mint. But it took until the final game market of 2024 to complete the trilogy and pick up Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, because I've been so picky with the condition of these games. I wanted to get this trilogy in absolutely mint CIB condition, and once again this one is in absolutely incredible condition. It has been a real pleasure trying to hunt out this trilogy over the course of 2024, and it's just a fantastic way to round off what was a fantastic year of game hunting at game markets. There we have it then, folks. That was the video game retro market right here in the fine city of Norwich. My final video game market of 2024. But trust me, 2025 promises to bring even more gaming markets. You ain't got long to wait till the very next one. Leeds Gaming Market. I'll be hitting it up the first weekend of February. And of course, I'll be taking you folks along for the ride. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe. And as always, keep playing the game. See you soon.